Welcome to Education Today. I'm Chris Garetano, Armstrong School District's multimedia technician. Today I'm going to ask you to take a step back to the beginning of this season. If you remember, during the last week of September, we aired our second episode of the season, which took a look into the history of Education Today and where it has come from with Mr. Don Swanson. If you also remember, I promised to follow up on that episode with insight from a couple different angles from two more former employees of Armstrong School District. Today we have just that for you. We're joined by Mr. Jonathan Zish and Dr. Frank Garetano. Welcome to Education Today.
Thanks, Chris.
It's a pleasure to have both of you back on the set of Education Today. Can each of you please introduce yourselves for our viewers and the former positions which you held with the district?
Chris, I was the former assistant superintendent for secondary education as well as working in the Office of Human Resources. I was with the district for 12 years, and currently I'm working on a part-time basis with blendedschools.net as a marketing representative for the Language Institute.
Okay.
Thank you, Chris, for having me on as well. I always get chills when I hear that opening theme song of Education Today.
That's right.
So I served for 5.5 years as School and Community Relations Coordinator of Armstrong School District, right about the time Education Today was getting started.
Okay.
From 2004 to 2010.
2010. Just recently we lost you at the set of Education Today. You are missed.
Yes, I miss you guys too.
Okay, so Dr. Garetano, you already referred to this a little bit. I was going to ask where each of you are at now, what you're doing. I know you said you're with Blended Schools now, but still enjoying retirement, I assume?
Oh, absolutely. It's certainly nice not to have to get out of bed and have some place to go every day, and you can set your schedule a little bit as to what needs to be done and work around that schedule. So it's been a nice time in my life, and it was a time for a change, and it's worked out well for me.
No memory loss with this retirement?
From time to time.
Okay. And John, where are you at now?
I recently started at the Norwin School District in Westmoreland County as their coordinator of school and community relations. So I'm looking forward to bringing my talents and make a positive impact there.
Well, who knows, maybe there will be a sister station held over at Norwin and you can host over there.
How about that? Yeah.
Yep. And wouldn't you know it, right as you leave, we get our teleprompter to work the way it's supposed to have been working for a long time.
I'm sure we'll talk about that.
We will. Okay, maybe we'll bring that up.
Yeah.
Well, you know, in part one of this series, we talked with Don Swanson. He gave us some insight on his position and the challenges that faced him. I'm sure that there was some challenges that were mutual for all of you, but you also have very different responsibilities when this whole thing got started. So can you talk about your roles with the studio and the program when it was initially started?
My role began when we introduced a pilot program of broadcasting into the high schools. And after the first year, there was enough student interest to continue that broadcasting, and we're able to purchase some equipment for the schools to use. However, we felt on a larger basis, we wanted to try to provide an opportunity for students who may be interested in looking to have this as a career. So with that, we started to look into trying to create a district-wide TV studio. So, you know, some of the challenges were, can we create a TV studio? What about equipment? What about location? How do we develop it? How do we build a set? So those are some of the initial challenges that went along with what we were trying to do. So those were my roles early on into the development of what we see today as Education Today.
Okay.
And those were two very important types of framework that Dr. Garetano helped to build. Having a steady supply of knowledgeable and capable students who serve as our film crew, which the audience does not see right now, but they're behind the cameras, they're in the control room, and we appreciate their work so much. They really are the lifeblood of this program, because that steady supply of student talents is what keeps us going. But also building the sets. You know, there were some physical logistics that just had to be taken care of, and we appreciate your efforts, Dr. Garetano, to get those started. My role when it started in 2005, Education Today, formally, I was designated as the script writer the show selector, so I'd have to pick each episode each week too, coming up with a new show each week, writing the script each week, and I served as host as well. So that, in a nutshell, is what I did.
Okay. And since you moved on, I mean, you did complete with us through the end of last year, and since you moved on, I've taken on those responsibilities and found out just how much of a challenge it is to find a show every day. And even maybe more so challenging this year is the fact that we have 8 classes this year, which is 2 more than we've ever had in one single year. And now we have a taping day every week instead of twice a week, which is what we used to do. And you know, it gives me a little bit more of a challenge to try to come up with these ideas, but at the same time, it's also opened up opportunities to get students doing different projects down here and utilizing the studio instead of just filming Education Today. We can get them into some different aspects of the TV production process as well, because as I was telling our class today that's down here, we only have so many airing weeks, and if we taped one show for every single day that we have students here, then I think we'd run out of airing weeks, essentially is what I figured out. Plus we have, if everyone takes our Education Today challenge, which is a student-done episode every year, completely student-run, it's their last project down here, then that'd be eight shows at the end of the year, which wraps up the last 2 months of school for us. So we can see that. Now the next question were about some of the challenges you faced. We talked about that, so maybe I'll ask this instead. How did you overcome some of these challenges that were presented, such as the needed equipment?
From an equipment standpoint, we were very fortunate where we had 2 community members, Dr. J. Paul and Mr. Don Toy, donate quite a bit of the equipment that's being utilized on the sets today. So that was one major hurdle. How do we get the equipment needed to put a studio in place? The second one was the challenge of the studio. Where do we place a studio? And there was space here at Katanning Junior High School where 3 small classrooms were remodeled into the set in which is being utilized today. With that set, it was primarily built by the maintenance department of the Armstrong School District, and they did a fabulous job over the summer of soundproofing the set, building the walls that needed to be built, demolishing the walls that needed to be demolished, and setting up a soundproof environment, as well as providing air conditioning into this segment of the building because it was needed to have things moving forward. So we're able to overcome the challenges with community support, with support from the maintenance staff, as well as support from the school board, which is vitally important for any program like this to move forward. We presented information to the Board of School Directors, indicated how many students were interested in what we wanted to do. The Board of School Directors instructed the administration to move forward, and we were able to do that. So once we decided what the set would be, where we'd place it, where we'd find the equipment, the other item was personnel. Who do we get to run this? And we were very fortunate to bring Don Swanson on at that point in time, where he had a lot of input into the development of the studio and what needed to be done because of his expertise coming into the district. Once we had Don on board, the second item was who will host it, and we were fortunate where John came on board as our community and public relations coordinator for the district, and it was just a natural fit with his background to host the programs as well as help produce and develop what each segment would be about. So through a lot of hard work of a lot of people, we were able to overcome the challenges at that time.
Yeah. That's excellent. And some of the challenges that I faced after Dr. Garetano and the board and administration had built the framework and the infrastructure, I guess myself and Mr. Swanson were tasked with the job of trying to fill in and flesh out the skeleton with shows that went each week. So we had this Herculean task to try to sync all the schedules of the student film crews who are here on taping day, various guests who would come on around the table, and then produce those in a timely fashion so they would air on our cable carriers, which at the time were limited to WIUP-TV. So we had to mesh all those schedules, and I think we overcame those challenges just through a lot of planning and hard work. Teacher guests, for example, had to come on during the instructional day, we provided some coverage for them when we had a teacher. Or if there was a student guest who came behind the table, we often had their parent drive them, providing transportation across the district. So those were some of the logistical challenges that I had. One thing that was never really a hardship was finding enough good things to air.
Right.
There's no shortage of that in the Armstrong School District. I mean, we've easily filled up 40 episodes a week just talking about our best and brightest students, initiatives that were going on in the district, things as varied as giving our viewers a look inside the classroom at programs going on with the letter people puppets in kindergarten, up to what the student councils are doing in the high schools to improve their high schools. So those were some of the challenges that we overcame in the early days.
Right, and I think both of you touched on this. It's very important and still very much appreciated that not only, and I think I speak for not only the administration, but for myself and for the students who get to come down and take part in all these projects. I think I speak for all of us when we really send out our thanks to all the community members and school board members that help get this program going and support it, and also to all the people in the community, including parents, especially teachers, and even students who are allowed or allow themselves to take away from their day and come down and film these shows for us, because without that we don't have anything really to go on except for what we can go out and film, like assemblies, and that's really the essence of what the show is, of course, as we know. So what can one or both of you speak to some of the goals at the very beginning of this project, and as the project moved along, or as you're going towards the opening day of it, did those goals change at all?
I believe initially the goal, and John alluded to it earlier, was that we wanted to give the students an opportunity to get into broadcasting if and so they wish to do so. And we wanted to highlight what was going on in the district, in the classrooms, different programs, assemblies, and that was the initial thrust. Let's move it forward. Let's create a public relations vehicle for the district. Let's put it out there as to what we're doing, because I think at times in education we don't do that well enough, where we get the information out to the public indicating what's really happening in the district, and this was a vehicle to do that. So initially that's where it started. And I think it has grown from there, because over the last several years, I think what we have seen, we've partnered with communities, partners where we have brought in different programs that touch the community and touch the district. Gary DeComo's program is a very big one, and there's a lot of help there to help put that program together year in, year out.
Yeah, Community Awareness Day.
Thanks, John. Community Awareness Day, and there was just a lot of help from the outside as well as the district, and it was people working together to address a concern in the community, which certainly is drug and alcohol and abuse. So that's just one example of how we've tried to partner with the community and move forward from the initial stages.
Yeah, and I would just echo what you said, that it started out as a showcase for all the best that's going on in the district, and it has grown into something where it has been a showcase for student talents. With those Education Today Challenge episodes that air in the springtime, where it's almost like a documentary that each student class does, and it airs in its entirety. So the students are really stepping up as this program, Education Today, evolves.
Yes, and they really have. Last year, every year, those student-done projects get a little better. So, Dr. Garetano, how did the idea for this program begin, and how long did you work on it before it was approved or it was moving forward?
It began with teachers, and when I say with teachers, in my position as assistant superintendent for secondary ed and district programs, we routinely would meet with teachers on in-service days and talk about what is being taught in the classroom. Are we meeting student needs? Or are we looking at state standards? Or are we teaching the kids what they need so when they leave the district, they're able to compete once they leave high school? One of the ideas brought up, what about Communications. What can we do in communications? How can we better help students communicate? Because at one point in time we thought we weren't doing a very good job with that. So that's where the idea initially started with the teachers. Let's see what we can do for students. From that point on, I spent time looking at other districts, Pine Richland, Altoona, Butler, to see what type of broadcasting programs they have in their district. So I was able to get that information together, talk with teachers, and say, okay, how do we want to start this? And then the way we started was a pilot program at Ford City Junior Senior High School, where we got the equipment there, and they tried with the morning announcements, putting it morning announcements over the airways rather than just a PA system. So it started there, and then we moved it into the other high schools to do the same thing. And from there, we said, yeah, this is working. The students want this experience, so let's see what we can do next. And that's when we really started to think about where do we put a district-wide TV studio, and as I mentioned earlier about the equipment, space, creation, development, and so on.
Okay. Oh, I think we talked a little bit, or went in a little bit about the kind of research, or that you did research with these other school districts. So, you know, was there anything else really that you wanted to add under that? Like if there's any other research or information that you needed to gain, or?
Well, not only did we do research outside the district, we also talked to the teachers within the district as to what we should do and what it should look like. And at that point in time, when Don Swanson came on board, we used his expertise, and also looking at IUP because of the program, the broadcasting program they have at IUP. We did get input from the professors at IUP as to what we should try to create at our level.
Okay. Now, John, you are really the PR specialist that was brought into this as well, sort of thrown into the fire, if you will. What kind of things did you need to do to get started with this whole project?
Working closely with the multimedia technician at the time, Mr. Don Swanson, we had to develop kind of a master list of taping days. That's something that the audience probably doesn't really appreciate, but just the taping days have to be scheduled at the convenience of the high school TV production classes. Mm-hmm. And they have to take a field trip to come to the TV studio here at the junior high, riding a bus with their teacher. And so that was the first thing, developing that master calendar, and then deciding, okay, taping days here, how long do we spend, how many episodes do we film that day so that we can feed the cable carrier enough content so that it's airing a new show each week.
Right.
We initially started out taping 4 hours each taping day, which meant 4 shows, one after the other.
Wow.
And it was sort of an exhausting day.
I can imagine.
Under these wonderful, comforting hot lights that we have.
Yes.
To make all of our features shine. But so we eventually pared that down to, instead of having like one mega taping day each month for each high school TV production class, we sort of decided it'd be less labor intensive, maybe a little easier on everyone if we did 2 taping days a month with half as much content being filmed.
Right.
And so issues like that were some of the challenges that I faced and where I helped out in scheduling guests to fit in with those taping days.
Right.
So.
All right, well, we're going to take a short break. We're going to be right back with more of Armstrong School District's Education Today. Stick around.
Before I came to IUP, I had no idea what college would be like or what role I would play or where I'd be in the future. But when I came to IUP, everything changed. I met people who really made me feel like I belonged. I had great classes at a great nationally ranked university. Hi, my name is Megan Miller. I'm a fine arts major, and this is my university.
We're back with Armstrong School District's Education Today. We're talking with Mr. John Zish and Dr. Frank Garetano, 2 former employees of the district who were involved in the initial startup of Education Today and the TV program at Armstrong School District. Gentlemen, well, I guess we'll go to you, Dr. Garetano. As we know, students are essential to the filming and the production of Education Today. I guess we really kind of talked about this, but maybe you can talk a little bit more about how the student TV production classes were implemented, and if that, maybe even John, you have some insight on this as well, what challenges that might have posed.
Well, working with the students here at the studio, once they did arrive here on the bus, if I could jump ahead perhaps to the next question.
Sure.
Working with some of these TV production students, they are some of the most creative, brilliant, and resourceful people I've ever had to work with in the 5.5 years that I worked at Armstrong School District. I can think of many examples. One time we filmed an episode about Read Across America. Read Across America is an annual celebration of Dr. Seuss and literacy that happens each March.
Mm-hmm.
And so we thought we'd celebrate that on Education Today to kind of mirror what was going on in the schools. And I had arranged to bring in a giant, oversized novelty statue of Cat in the Hat for that episode. We may even have tape of that. But it sat behind the guests. But getting it in the junior high school building was a struggle that the audience never saw. But if not for the heroic efforts of the student TV production who helped me carry this 10-foot behemoth in the doors through the junior high, we would have never had that nice prop going there. So that's just one small way they help out. Other ways they help out is just by creating their own work, documentary films and things like that. I remember the first spring that we aired, it was 2005, and a team of students designed an episode all about how their fellow students at the high school could take the PSSA successfully. That's our state exam given in math and reading for grades 3 through 8 and 11. And they created a very imaginative, 10-minute documentary of students who, using technology and the magic of television, jumped into the PSSA exam and walked through each section. And one student was sort of the confused student saying, "What is this section?" And another one was the wise and knowing guide who said, "Well, this is the reading section, and here's how you prepare for that." And so you see, that kind of resourcefulness, just really, I admired that, and we saw it again and again through the 5 years that I worked here. So, working with students, it was very rewarding. I considered them all who came through the program graduates of a distinguished and noble tradition, alumni of Education Today. So,
if I could add to that, in fact, once that program was broadcast on WIUP-TV, an administrator in Cambria County saw the program and asked if, in fact, if he could get a copy of it because he wanted to use it with his high school students. So what was produced here by the students very creatively was seen throughout Western Pennsylvania and actually used in other districts to try to get the message across regarding the PSSA, being very creative. And another very creative program had to deal with officiating. And in fact, as students put together a program that was used statewide by basketball officials and looking at different types of calls in basketball, such as traveling, or a player control foul, or a block, a charge, those type of items. And it was put together here, edited, and then it was sent to the Pennsylvania Interscholastic Athletic Association office, who copied it and distributed it throughout the state to all the basketball chapters. So, statewide, at one point, there certainly was notoriety regarding what we do in Armstrong School District, and that's something not only administratively we're very proud of, but also the teachers and the students involved. Very, very proud of what they're able to do.
One time, Pittsburgh Public Schools also sent a team up, and Deer Lakes School District sent a team up to observe how we did what we did.
I'm going to ask for both of you some of your memories that we may not have covered as you think back about the roots in the beginning of Education Today.
You want to take this?
Go ahead.
Oh. There are many fond memories. When you do 40 episodes a year for 5 years and you hit episode number 200, how do you pick just one or two. What I would like, it seems like all of my favorite memories revolve around episodes where we featured puppets. What can you say? I mean, we had the letter people on. They are a kindergarten type of curriculum where puppets are used, characters, to illustrate every letter of the alphabet. Letters A through Z each have their own character or puppet, and they come out and they help the kids learn, letter sounds, phonemic awareness, all that stuff. For instance, letter J is Mr. Jingle Jingle Jackets, and he was sitting here on the table. And so it was kind of neat to be surrounded. The student film crew helped redecorate the set that day. I think we had shelves or something, and we had 26 puppets around, one for each letter of the alphabet, in between and amongst our guests who were teachers.
I do recall seeing that episode in our archives.
Maybe we're seeing a clip of it right now.
Maybe I can find a clip of it. It'd be great to add it in.
Another episode that I really enjoyed was going to a little older level of students. There was a program called Appleby Pond, which is a puppet show done by high school students. It's named Appleby Pond, and it is designed to teach kids about the dangers of smoking and alcohol. And they use puppets quite well. And we may even have footage of this that we're saying, but there was one time where I was honored to be asked to be a puppeteer on the episode. And if you look closely, I didn't do a very good job of hiding myself, and you can kind of see my face hanging out from behind the puppet. So we'll try to find that footage. And then another memory that I have was the very first taping day, back when we used to tape for 4 hours at a time, plus, and we did not have a working teleprompter. Hard as it is to believe, things were not as always smooth running as they are now. And so these brilliant scripts that I had to write, they were typed in vain the first episode, because I come to the studio and I realized we don't have a working teleprompter. It somehow was on the blink. And so our student film crew, again, saved the day. They were feverishly writing with magic marker on giant pieces of poster board, and these would be our cue cards. They made a great save that day. So those were some memories that we did. Now, thankfully, we've had a working teleprompter for about 4+ years.
Let's just hope that that continues.
Memories as I look back is the involvement of so many students into the program. It seemed to grow year after year as to the interest, and as Chris, as you mentioned earlier, the quality of what we see day in and day out. Initially the programs were just aired on WIUP. Now they are aired on Comcast and WIUP, so getting a lot more airtime for what is done here. So those are the things I think about. The other thing is, as an administrator, when an idea comes together, you never know if it's a good idea until it finally flushes out. And this one flushed out very, very nicely, because the program started in 2005. We're now in 2010, and it seems to be strong and moving forward. So, it's a good feeling looking back, thinking, yeah, we made the right decision, because this is what the students wanted. This is what the teachers were able to put together and do with administrative help, and getting the right people in the right place at the right time to make sure that it works. So it's those type of memories that I will always remember.
But I thank you both for coming in. I know your schedules are very, very busy, but it was nice taking a look back at this program from the multiple different points of view that I've got an ability to do over this 2-part mini-series. So, okay. Well, that is our show for today. Thanks go out to Mr. Jonathan Zish and Dr. Frank Garetano for taking time out of their busy schedules to be here. Our thanks also go out to the TV production students of West Shamokin High School, led by their teacher, Mrs. Patty Yamrick. They were our film crew today. And I should point out that all of us down here today are rookies with the different positions we're in. So it was, Mrs. Yamrick, good job back there, and the student film crew, very good job behind the scenes today. Please join us again next week for another look at the Armstrong School District. Visit our website for updated information about the district, and have a great week.